Good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time to join me on this live um, video to express our concerns about the new bill regarding conversion therapy. My name is Maame Serwaah. I live in the United Kingdom, and this video is purposely for people in the UK. So today we want to talk about the upcoming votes that will be happening from the 15th of May. That's a couple of days down the line, I think somewhere next week. And MPs will be voting on an amendment bill about conversion therapy. So we just want to go through it and then see how best um, we can add our voice, because there is a saying that it takes a family, or it takes a community, it takes a community to raise a child. So when it comes to children or issues about children, I'm really, really passionate about it. And I'll do whatever I can to give as much information for people to make their informed choice or decisions. As I already said, that it takes a community or a village to raise a child. This conversion therapy amendment bill proposed by the MP Alicia, I think, let me get the name correct. She is a consecutive MP, Alicia Kans. She has proposed a new clause 42 to the amendment bill of the criminal justice bill. So basically what she is proposing is that if you are a parent, family, relatives of a child who wants to transition, from being a boy to a girl, girl to a boy, or even gender identity, or sexual orientation, if you don't give consent to it, then she's proposing that you could face criminal conviction. You could go to prison for up to 5 or 7 years, and also you could get unlimited fine. So let's get some information, background information, or understanding about this conversion therapy prohibition bill. So it came out in the year 2023 and 2024. And the whole thing started in 2017 when the government undertook a national survey in which it overlooked the responses from people from the LGBTQ plus groups. So I think it was under the government of Theresa May, if I'm not mistaken. I stand to be corrected. So they gathered the survey, they gathered the information and everything. And in 2021, the government stated that the existing criminal law framework should be applied to the conversion therapy. So if we talk about conversion therapy, what is conversion therapy? Conversion therapy is defined as any practice which is aimed at a person or a group of people which demonstrates an assumption that any sexual orientation or gender identity is preferable to another. So example, as I already said in the beginning, so let's say I have a boy child, biological boy child, and they want to transition to be a girl, or they want to be identified as a girl, and as a parent or as a religious group or as family or as relative, anything that we do, it could be talking therapy, like trying to talk them out for not being themselves or being transitioned to be what they want, or if it could be a teacher or anything, or it could be even taking medication like the puberty blockers, like the hormone medication that they take to stop them from getting into puberty. So what they are proposing, Alicia, the MP, and other members of parliament are proposing that there should be a criminal law that if you are a parent, relative, or whatever, try to oppose, you should be convicted and you should get up to 5 or 7 years imprisonment or unlimited fine. But as I said in my previous video that I shared on my social media pages, that your child is your responsibility as a parent. So I'm not supporting any form of abuse. No, 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 no. The system that we live in, or in this contemporary world, people have so many choices. There are so many information out there, and people have so many opinions of themselves on what they want or how they want to be identified as. So I'm not supporting any form of abuse to any group of the LGBTQ plus. By law in the United Kingdom, the Equality Act 2010 has the 9 characteristics. So you cannot discriminate against someone because of their race, their religion, their gender. It goes on and on. There are 9 characteristics. So everybody is covered by this law. But what I'm trying to pass across, or the message I'm trying to send, is that as a parent, you have the responsibility of your child. If anything happens to your child, it's your responsibility. All the government or the agencies, relevant agencies, will be knocking at your door, because your child is your responsibility. And having read through some research and having had experience with some of the people from the LGBT plus or children who wants to transition, even the waiting list on the NHS is too long, and there are not relevant support and resources for young people or children who wants to transition or have that sexual orientation. Is a really, really gray area, that the lack of funding, that they are really, really struggling for it. So having said that, you and I, we have a responsibility. As I have said twice already, it takes, a village to raise a child. These young children are confused. Most of them, they are still exploring. They're trying to find their identity, trying to find themselves. So the best place, there is a saying that charity begins at home. The first place that these people should be sorting, or these children, our young people, should be sorting information and support from, is from the home, is from the parents. So the first suggestion that I would give is that as a parent, you need to get yourself as much information as you can to support your child. If they do come out that they want to transition, or gender identity issues or whatever, you should be the first person to support them in these areas. You should be the first person to support them in whatever, they aim or they want to do. Just to make sure that they have that support. Because if they transition to be a boy, or gender orientation or whatever, and it comes down to mental health issues, it comes down to physical issues or symptoms or whatever, you will be the person that will bear the consequences. And you need your family and relatives around you to support this young person. So I don't intend to take long or ages on this video. So what you can do is that before this amendment bill is being voted on, you have to contact your MP. We have over 620, if I'm not mistaken, constituencies, in the UK or England, and each constituency has an MP. The MP is the person who represents the people at its constituents to represent their views and their opinions to Parliament. So the simple or best way that you can get in touch with your MP, probably you don't know who even your MP is very simple. You go online, Google or whatever web browser that you use. So you can type in, how do I find my member of parliament in England or UK or wherever you are? Or you can search the directories of MPs. So it will bring up with a web page, and then you put in your postcode. When you put in your postcode, it will give you the details of your MP. So their full name, their email address, their office telephone number, and the postal address normally will be at the Parliament. That's the House of Commons. So that's the best way to contact your MP. Please contact your MP as soon as possible. And when you contact your MP, you have to be polite, because we have to treat everybody with respect. Everybody has their opinions. Everybody, have the way they feel about things. So you have to be very brief. So whether you want to go through email, I think the email will be a better option, or best you can go through a post if that's your preferred option. So you have to be brief, you have to be very polite, and you have to be clear and persuasive. You have to be clear and persuasive, because what Alisa is proposing is that in Australia they have this conversion therapy law in Victoria, Australia, so which puts parents who refuse to agree to their children having puberty blockers at risk of being criminalized or having criminal conviction. Or you can pray about repentance with an LGBTQ plus friend. This also might seem as illegal, but my focus or concentration more is more about children. Research has shown that from birth, if a child is born, it takes up to about 21 years for the brain to develop. So I would say if you have a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old, I know that 16-year-old they can give consent, medical consent and all that stuff. But mind you, as a parent, you have that responsibility for that child. I'm not supporting any form of abuse or being rude or violent to a child who is trying to explore their identity or whatever. You are there to guide them in the right way, to make the right choices, to support them. So I'm not supporting any form of abuse or anything that will put your child or you at risk. No, I'm not here to support that. But what I'm trying to encourage you is that contact your member of parliament, your MP, as soon as possible. So Google, you have to just Google, how do I contact my MP on any web browser that you have, or you can put in directories of MPs, and then the name will come on, and then you send them an email, their contact number. You have to tell them that the new clause 42, clause as in CLAUSE, the new clause 42, proposed as an amendment to the Criminal Justice Bill, threatens the everyday work of churches that could criminalize family members. And you ask your MP, whether it's a he or she or whatever they identify themselves as, is that if there is a vote, they should not vote. And you should state the reason why they should not vote. And as I said in the beginning, it has to be simple, it has to be brief, you have to be polite, it has to be clear. Because I believe that every child needs their parents, every child needs the family, every child needs the community, to support them find themselves. So you have to send your MP that message. And where I got most of my information from is from the Christian Institute. So you can search up the Christian Institute online. And then you will find as much information as you want, or even some of the wordings that you can use when sending the email to your local MP. And when either you are sending an email or you are writing a letter, please state that you are a member or you live in their constituency, so that they will take it seriously, because they are there to represent you. So let's say if you live, let's say HB 13 or whatever, you should say that I am a constituent at HB 16, HB 10, or HA 8, whatever your postcode is. You can give them the first three digits or numbers or figures, so that they will know that you are in their constituency, and then you will tell them what your views are. So some of the things that you can add whilst contacting your MP is that a criminal law saying you have to be affirming or face huge fines is completely contrary to the CAS review warnings on how gender confusion should be approached. So the UK does not need a conversion therapy law to protect gay or trans people from the verbal and physical abuse, because they are already existing law. An example is the Equality Act 2010. So there are so many things that you can state. And also what I find a bit confusing is that in Australia, they have their policies, they have their procedures, they have their resources. So why do you have to say in quotes, why do you have to copy and paste other countries' legislation and say, oh, I think this is good, so we have to implement it in the United Kingdom, which is, it doesn't make sense to me personally. So I will end here. I don't know if anybody has got any questions they want to ask, but it's very simple and very straightforward. You have a voice, you have to use your voice. Your MPs are there to represent you in the Houses of Parliament or the House of Parliament. And they will be voting. And if they vote, you know, even talking to your child about sexuality or sexual orientation or gender identity will be difficult, because it's a gray area, and as a parent it will feel like you are walking on eggshells on how to approach this delicate issue. And as I said, you know, it takes up to about 21 years for a person or a person's brain to fully develop. So we need to support our children. We need to provide them as much information as they can, so that they can have or they can make informed choice. So I'll end here, and thank you everyone for making time to join me this afternoon. And you can share this video to someone that you think will help. But before I go, there was a song in Ghana that I was discussing with someone very close to me this afternoon, that it was a story in a song that in a thick forest, there was this big tree, and under the tree there was a tortoise. And under the tortoise, there was this long, like winded rope. Yeah, but it was a plant. And on top of it, there was a bird, you know, who was happily singing and minding their own business. So the tortoise, you know, sent a message to the long winded rope plant that the bird should stop singing, because the noise that it's making will definitely bring, you know, bad results or something that will not be pleasant to them. But they ignored. And at the end of the day, it happened that a hunter came to the forest. And when the hunter came to the forest, you know, he saw that the bird looked nice and it would be, you know, a good meal for that hunter. So the hunter shot the bird and killed the bird. So when the bird fell down, the hunter saw that there was a tortoise on the floor. So the hunter took the bird and the tortoise, and eventually the hunter had to cut, you know, the long-winded rope that looked like that a plant, to tie both the bird and the tortoise. What am I trying to say? You will say that, oh, I don't have any control. I don't care. They can do whatever they want to do. But wait till you have a discussion with your child, and it ends in you having a conviction or going into prison for up to 5 to 7 years, because you did not approach your child's sexual identity or sexual orientation in a way that you should approach it. So let's come together, put our voices together and then contact your MP. Don't put it too late. Don't wait till I'll do it next week. You can do it right now. Send your MP an email with that information, and let's monitor and pray and see what will happen. Your child is your responsibility, and they should be guided by your values, your beliefs, until they are at the stage where they are independent to make their own choices. So I'll end here, and thank you all for joining. God bless.